Hello everyone. In Lumbagosciatica syndrome part 1 we have seen regarding general introduction, definition, causes and signs and symptoms of lumbago and sciatica. So in this part we will continue with pathophysiology of lumbago and sciatica syndrome along with risk factors, complications and diagnosis. Myself Dr. Anand, Assistant Professor, Department of Rogadidana and Vikriti Vijnana, Global Institute of Ayurveda, Rajkot. About pathology of lumbagosciatica syndrome, sciatica is generally caused by the compression of lumbar nerves L4 or L5 or sacral nerve S1. So mainly L4 to S3. Any one of the nerves, one or more nerve roots will be always included in case of manifestation of sciatica. So it will be always manifested as a result of any kind of sciatic nerve compression to L4 to S3 nerve roots. Intervertebral spinal disc consists of an outer annulus fibrosus and an inner nucleus pulposus. These are the two main components will be bounded with bounded to intervertebral spinal disc. An outer annulus fibrosus layer, an inner nucleus pulposus covering. The annulus fibrosus forms a rigid ring around the nucleus pulposus early in human development, and the gelatinous contents of the nucleus pulposus are thus contained within the disc. So, how it normally situates the annulus fibrosus, which is the outer layer around the intervertebral spinal disc, will be forming a rigid ring-like structure, the early development of a human body, and the gelatinous contents of the nucleus pulposus. So, whenever it will be inside the annulus fibrosus ring, which within the rigid ring of annulus fibrosus, gelatinous content, mucilaginous content like components will be present, which is nucleus pulposus will be always provides lubricating and easy movement soothing effect for the intervertebral spinal disc. Thus contained within the disc. So both these components are situated within the disc. Annulus fibrosus and an inner nucleus pulposus. One is formed with a rigid ring and another one is situated with a or contained with a gelatinous content. Discs separate the spinal vertebrae, thereby increasing spinal stability and allowing nerve roots to properly exit through the spaces between the vertebrae from the spinal cord. So within the intervertebral disc, this will be separating the spinal vertebrae. So thereby causing increased spinal stability. So because of this particular specific separation or specific alignment, what will be the cause? There will be increased spinal stability because of spinal will be more stable in nature and allowing nerve roots to properly exit through the spaces between the vertebrae of the spinal cord. So because of this proper disc separation, it will aid more spinal movements along with what it will provide the proper in and exit pathway of the nerve root source. As an individual ages, the annulus fibrosus weakens and becomes less rigid, making it at greater risk of tear. So most of the condition, the risk of tear will be happening at an age of at the person approaching more aged stages. So it depends upon the age-wise development. The annulus fibrosus, which is the outer layer, becomes more weak in nature, and it will become less rigid. Its rigidity will be losing gradually, and it is in a position of risk of tear. When there is a tear in the annulus fibrosus, the nucleus pulposus may extrude through the tear and press against spinal nerves within the spinal cord, coda equina or exiting nerve roots, causing inflammation, numbness, or excruciating pain. So, along with the age criteria, because of any kind of specific mechanical injury or any external stress like factors depends upon the more exercise or more occupation or some other injury, this will be causing it can be related to medical causes, it can be related to lifestyle causes as we have already seen in the causes of sciatica pain. So because of this, what will be happening? The risk of tear for the annulus fibrosis is more. So whenever there is a tear is happening to annulus fibrosis, what will be causing? The inner layer, that is nothing but nucleus pulposus or the mucilaginous or the content will be extruded through the tear. Through the tear it will come out and it will press against the spinal nerves within the spinal cord or with the coda equina, or it will exiting nerve roots through causing inflammation, numbness or excruciating pain. So whenever there is a tear of annulus fibrosus, the inner component, nothing but the nucleus pulposus, will coming out through that tear and it will cause a high amount of high quality of pressure against the spinal nerves. This will cause severe excruciating pain along with inflammation and numbness to the nerve roots. Inflammation of spinal tissue can then spread to adjacent facet joints and cause facet syndrome, which is characterized by lower back pain and referred pain in the posterior thigh region. So because of this inflammation causing to the spinal vertebral spinal nerve roots, what will be happening? It will from there it will spread to adjacent facet joints, thereby it will be causing facet syndrome. When it is affecting with the facet joints, obviously it will start from the condition of facet syndrome, which is characterized by lower back pain and referred pain in posterior thigh region. So with respect to the facet syndrome along with sciatic condition, what will be the main peculiar feature of the facet syndrome? There will be lower back pain along with the referred pain with respect to the referred pain over the posterior thigh region also. Less commonly, sacral nerves S2 or S3 or compression of the sciatic nerve itself may cause sciatica. So, whenever you're considering the nerve roots, any kind of sciatic condition is affecting with the patient, considering the nerve roots from L4 to S3, there are very less chance it will be affecting with S2 or S3, or compression of the sciatic nerve itself may cause sciatica. In 90% of the sciatic cases, this can occur as a result of spinal disc bulge or herniation. So, intervertebral herniation or spinal disc bulge condition, 90% of the sciatic cases are occurring. That's the most common cause. Other causes of sciatica secondary to spinal nerve entrapment include the roughening, enlarging, or misalignment, like a spondylolisthesis condition of vertebrae or disc degeneration. So, some other rarest causes are apart from the disc herniation and spinal disc bulge, vertebrae degeneration or the disc degeneration, or misalignment of the vertebrae along with the roughening and enlargement of the spine same vertebral condition like spondylolisthesis. This is secondary causes for sciatica. When sciatica is caused by compression of a dorsal nerve root, it is considered as lumbar radiculopathy, condition which is affected to the lumbar nerve roots, or radiculitis when accompanied by an inflammatory response. When it is affected with the dorsal nerve root, the sciatica, because of compression of dorsal nerve root, if the sciatica is happened, it is considered as a lumbar radiculopathy or radiculitis condition. Factors of Lymphocytic syndromes like age-related changes in the spine, such as herniated disc and bone spurs, with respect to the age, or because of age-related condition. These are some other risk factors. The common conditions which will be affecting with the spine, this herniated disc can be manifested or bone spurs formation of these conditions are very common with this respect to as a patient approaching with a more aged category. Obesity, by increasing the stress on spine whenever it is regarding with the obesity condition. Excess body weight can contribute to the spinal changes also. Occupation related, persons who is carrying heavy loads or driver for long periods. So this will cause occupation related risk factors. Prolonged sitting, people who sit for prolonged periods or have a sedentary lifestyle, another risk factor which will be more predisposing the condition. Diabetes increase your risk of nerve damage as it is a condition which is totally connected with the radiculopathy situation. Any kind of diabetes like metabolic disorders will be causing more worsening of the condition. Diagnosis examination test, first of all we can perform like SLR test. In the SLR, straight leg raise test, active and passive, and reverse SLR, femoral nerve stretch test, along with the bowstring test, flip test, some other test which will be giving some positive findings if it is really in the case of sciatica lumbar sciatica syndrome like Brigard's test, Lesigu's test, Schauber's test and all we can perform. Along with the Radiological investigations like lumbosacral X-ray, lumbosacral MRI, lumbosacral CT, electromyogram. This much will be giving with some radiological findings with respect to the alignment of the lumbar spine. Wherever there will be degeneration, any kind of defect in the articulation, that will be ruled out by these kind of radiological examination. Most of the condition which is related to lumbar sciatica syndrome, lumbar spondylolisthesis, ankylosing spondylitis, lumbar spondylosis, sciatica syndrome. This much conditions you should consider as differential diagnosis. Why? Because most of these conditions, the symptoms can be represented, one or more symptoms can be represented simultaneously, which is something similar to these conditions also. So this much conditions, as it is always connected to pathological impairments with respect to the lumbar spine along with the radiating pain, these conditions also you should consider as differential diagnosis of lumbar sciatica syndrome. Certain complications, partial or complete loss of leg movement, or partial or complete loss of sensation of the leg. So, movement of leg, or either partial or complete, or loss of sensation of leg with respect to partial or complete can be happen as a complication of lumbar sciatica syndrome. Loss of control over bowel or bladder function, along with the nerve damage, spinal stenosis, facet syndrome, which is affecting the facet joints mainly. These are some major complications of lumbar sciatica syndrome. So conclusion of lumbar sciatica syndrome, which is lumbago and sciatica. The lumbago, which is always affects with the lower back pain, and sciatica is always connects with the radiating type of pain from the buttocks region to the foot region or to the toe region. Severe condition without treatment may cause permanent radiculopathy or nerve-related condition like neuropathy, other neuropathic conditions also. Treatment at early stage is effective, but age, body weight, presence of other metabolic disorders worsening the situation. So all these conditions always you should consider with respect to treatment. Why? Because depends upon the age, depends upon the body weight, presence of whether the patient is already having some other kind of any metabolic disorders. This will be causing more worsening of the situation. So always whenever treat with this kind of condition, you should consider about the patient's age and patient's body weight BMI along with whether the patient is suffering from any other metabolic diseases like diabetes mellitus or hypertension or any other disc related or joint related conditions patient already having from previous history that you can extract out. Disc herniation, bony spurs are other foremost predisposing factors. Some other predisposing factors are the conditions which will be worsening the situation. Disc herniation, formation of bony spurs. The topic called lumbagosciatica syndrome. Thank you.